In the 1990s, a man from Brittany started experimenting with suspension on mountain bikes. Within a year, he'd got a job as chief engineer at Sun. It was a team that went on to become one of the most formidable and successful downhill teams in the history of the sport. What made the Sun team so special, apart from the fact that they had some of the most amazing riders on the planet, was how they treated the bike as a system, not just as a collection of parts. Everything from the wheels, the spoke tension, the tyres, the disc brakes, the transmission, and most importantly, the suspension. It really was a scientific approach to racing. The Obsys fork was a key part of the Sun bikes of the 1990s. And we're here in Toulouse to look at the latest version, upside down, 220mm, and the man behind it, the creator, the innovator of Bos suspension, Olivier Bossard.
The main problem for me is that it's difficult to stop a downhill bike on because the tracks and the speed now. This is what we propose after all the studies we did, and we had decided to be focused on the brakes, and for that reason we had decided to increase the rigidity of the chassis, and the best way to do it so far is upside down fork. For everybody, when you gain speed, you can trust and you can be in confidence if you can stop. And this is a key point for me. Same for car racing, motocross or downhill bikes. You must stop. And upside down forks it's not new technology, but it's time. I think it's time to come back on the upside down solution just for one reason. We have to increase a lot the flex of the fork. When you brake, we add to rigidity. We need more rigidity. So a standard fork flex too much and create some vibration on the bumps, because you have the traction, you lose traction, you have the traction, and for that reason you flex the fork. And with an upside down fork, in fact, as you can see, the biggest size is close to the crown. So it means as much as you increase the lever from the axle, you increase the section of the fork, so you increase the rigidity. The dimension, in fact, what we can say is that because everybody knows about the stanchions, stanchion is 42 mm diameter. So for the outer tube, for sure, it's a lot bigger. And if you compare to a standard fork, we can say that it's about, we increase the rigidity on the crown about 60 to 70%. You can see that the diameter is really small compared to that one. So it means when you have the force on the axle, you bend the fork quite easily, and you can find a kind of vibration for the fork on the bumps on brakes. This is the first problem. The second problem is the overlap. The overlap you can have in between the two bushings, which is fixed on the classic fork. The two bushings are on the lower, and in fact on a upside down fork you can have a fixed bushing on the outer tube close to the seal, and the second one a sliding bushing, which will move with the stanchion on the travel. And in fact, at the end of the travel, you can have something like that distance in between the two bushings. It means so much less stress on the bushings, and so much and a lot better on friction.
And which in turn leads to more control.
Yeah, and more control for sure, because less friction, more sensitivity, more grip, and more stability on the way for the fork to work properly on the bumps. No high-speed compression, because again the best to do good suspension, the best to do it is to get some experience, and we have had some experience with automotive, with car racing, WRC, and motocross again. And we had discovered that when you put high speed, in fact, it's through a preload on the shim stack. And if you put a preload on the shim stack, you're immediately the first thing you can feel on your bike is a kind of harshness. It's not so much the load which increased, but much more harshness on the suspension. Yeah, sure.
You don't need them all.
No, you don't need at all. You don't need at all. In fact, the high speed is done by the shim stack, like on most of the high quality suspension you can find on the world. And but for sure, they are waiting so much on adjusters that they are at the first feeling is that they are surprised, and then I explain, and immediately it makes sense, and they can accept to say that more adjusters you have on your fork, and bigger mistakes you can do to set up, and it's difficult for everybody to set up properly suspension. So if you have the proper tuning on the inside for the curve, hydraulic curve, in fact you don't need at all. About the weight.
Let's talk about weight. We've been obsessed with weight for many years.
Yeah, but you know we can say that we were upset with the weight, but the speed you can see on a downhill bike, and for the top 10 riders for sure, they are going faster and faster, and you can see that the track had changed massively, and the philosophy about the weight still the same since 20 years, and in fact what's the correct weight? Nobody knows exactly what's the correct weight. It's a balance in between the performance, the stability, and the handling of the bike, and the weight. So for sure, going on an upside down fork, it's a big disadvantage for the weight immediately. But we had worked with very nice pieces inside and proper design to save weight as much as possible. We have had a lightest fork in development, but the performance is better with that latest spec. And we can say also that we had discovered that put more weight on the front of the bike makes your bike with more stability and safer handling.
Did you think, why didn't you do this before, Olivier?
That's a good question. I can say that it's my own evolution, and for sure. And so performance, the target was clearly the performance. No marketing, no competition, with nobody. The target was clearly the performance, and we had decided to make the fork the best fork we can do ever. And for some reason, we had discovered that we were a bit in the wrong direction by the past. We can say on the last 4 years.
Would you say you made a mistake in the past?
Yeah. Yeah, because like most of the competitors, we did the choice to have a light fork, and a light fork, in fact, bend, like I said, because you can save weight on the stanchion. So a thicker stanchion is immediately a problem because it flexes more. And but to discover that vibration is a huge problem on the downhill fork makes us take the decision to go on the right way. And
I mean, the vibration leads to the impact that is like lots of rider fatigue, right?
Yeah, it's fatigue for your hands, and the confidence also, because we can say the vibration is difficult for your hands and your eyes, and but the main thing is that in fact you can trust much more on your bike with less vibration and less stability on the handling, and but like always, you discover one thing, you believe, and you go on one direction, and you discover another thing. But we can say that the job we did on the past 2 years is huge for the performance. And
so Obsys, you say Obsys?
Obsys.
So Obsys is back then, right?
Yeah.
So
Obsys back, yeah.
Yeah.
It's in fact it's a bit my story. Obsys. I had started my first Obsys was in '95, as I remember, and with quite good success with some riders and races.
Quite good success.
Yeah, quite good success. No,
Massive success.
Yeah.
Be
Depends.
more successful.
Yeah, I don't know many races the Obsys won. It's yeah, for sure it's huge. It's huge.
So okay, plans for a downhill bike?
Sorry?
Any plans for a downhill bike?
Huh.
Long silence.
Was this on the plan? Yeah, plan for a downhill bike. Yeah. Some good ideas and again a new philosophy and new ideas to build a downhill bike, and again the same target, the performance. So, okay.